another video. This time I wanted to draw a random Google Earth image. It's from this website called MapCrunch, and every day they'll generate a random street view of somewhere on Earth, and it's super cool. Yeah, it's super cool for giving street views and something to draw. It's like, can't really travel these days. It's just cool to be able to draw different locations and see what other places look like. So this is somewhere in Edinburgh, UK. It's this cool street alley with graffiti. I guess I'll just talk through my process for drawing these. I'll typically start with the line drawing using pencil and really focus on like the ratio of things. So if I draw a line, I'll ask myself, is it in the middle of the frame, or is it more towards the 1/3 mark? Is it closer to the edge of the page? Is it closer to something else? Every line is placed in relation to something else, so think about like where things should be placed and if it looks like what you're seeing. So next I like take a dark blue color, because that tends to be what shadows look like in the outside world. Because the sky is a bluish color, shadows tend to be a dark bluish color to reflect the sky. So I take this dark bluish grayish color and kind of make a pass over every dark shadow that I see. So like within the door frame I saw one, there's this like shadow cast from through the building, and then the side of the building that's most away from the sun. And once I've done this like dark pass over all the darker colors, and I take the parts that are in shadow or like kind of darker but not in like the defined dark shadow, so I guess what you call the midtones, and I kind of paint over that as well using like a blend of a dark blue color with the actual color. So for instance, the wall was like a beige color, so I mixed like a beige tone with like a dark blue gray color, and then the other side of the building is an actual like gray blue color, so I kind of just made that color a little darker. Yeah, and then I just paint the background with like a lighter color than what I actually saw. But I think watercolor is pretty forgiving, because you could just, like, if you make a wrong stroke, just immediately add water and then wipe it away and it'll solve most of your problems. And then here I am darkening shadows even more, because now that I've added the midtones, there's no differentiating between the dark shadows and the midtones. So I just go over the dark shadows with a little bit more of a darker blue-gray color. And then once I've done that, I start adding the actual color of the space. So for instance, this wall is like a very indigo dark blue color, so I kind of trace over it. The important thing to notice in watercolor is that once you cover over white space, you will never be able to get that white color back again. I think this is unlike a lot of other mediums where you can always just take white paint and draw on top of it again, but once you cover over white, you can never ever get that same white back. So be careful not to cover things that should be white or should be highlighted. So I'm just taking like what I see the color to be and I kind of dabble over it. I left a space on the dark blue wall for the figure because there was a person standing there and the person was wearing light clothing against a dark background, so I just left it as all white for now. And there was also a white car in front of the person, and I just painted over the windows. I guess it's all about seeing the color, and like even though your eye might trick you and say like that color is blue, and I know it's painted blue, but in the image it'll sometimes be like a more grayish color. So that's why I always go over things with the shadow first, because I think that kind of tones all the colors down from their original saturated paint color to one that feels more realistic and natural. So once I paint over like the colors of what I perceive things to be, I just take a darker color, like get a very opaque black or purple or dark blue, and I trace over the parts that should really be dark in here. So for instance, the edge of the building where the roof is, the little details on the door, the window, that kind of stuff. And then also just like highlighting the shadows again to make sure they're dark enough. And then I just drew the person. She was wearing like a white top and purple pants. She was standing behind this graffiti of wings, so kind of drew that over as well. And then finally I'm just adding some like final little details, darkening some shadows, just making the details look like they pop. So adding like the windows in the background buildings, the different sides of the building, the different layers on the front building. The brush that I'm using is the brush that came with the kit. This is the 24 pack Sakura Koi Watercolors. It's super handy, would definitely recommend. If you don't like dealing with like different brushes and different colors and having to clean it and like bring it all with you when you're traveling, this is the ideal way to paint watercolors. in my opinion. Here's how I tend to wash my brushes. I tend to just like squeeze out the water from the brush and kind of rub it on your hands until the color comes out. It's very jank. I'm sure there's an actual way of washing it. It's just how I do it. I just kind of like mix it around until there's no more pigment and disassemble the brush and put it back. As always, thank you for watching. Let me know what your watercoloring tips and tricks are, and if you have any questions, hopefully I'll get around to them. Thanks for watching.